Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Edgeman Synergy coming to you guys today with another deck tech. Today I'm going to be covering a long-awaited and long-requested deck that you guys have been dying to see, and that is White-Black Exalted. Now, I decided to put this deck together. I've been playtesting it for quite some time online as well as in person, and I'm really in love with the build as I have it here. So I'm going to share it with you guys. It's not the cheapest deck to make. This is an expensive deck. I'm going to try and cover a budget build for White-Black Exalted of some sort, and that will probably be up sometime soon, later after this video. But it's very rotation friendly. One card is rotating out of it for the Scars of Mirrodin and M12 rotation, and that is Elspeth Tirel. The rest of the cards are going to be standard legal after that point whenever Return to Ravnica comes out. So we are going to take a look at this deck, but before we get to that, if you guys have any suggestions for deck decks that you would like to see, please leave them in the comments down below. But I can assure you that I will do a budget build for White-Black Exalted as well. So the first thing that we are taking a look at here is the mana base. So we got to have some lands and specifically know what we're going to be running for this deck. So first off, we have Isolated Chapel giving us white and black. So mainly in this deck, we're running black as almost like a splash. Black is still important for the deck, but white is much more commonly found in here. But we have playset of Isolated Chapel. We have Cavern of Souls. Now, for this deck, we are going to be mainly choosing humans as the Knight of Glory, Knight of Infamy, Champion of the Parish that we're running in this deck. They're all humans, so we can work around that. Or we could also choose Angel if we want to get Sublime Archangel out there. But Cavern of Souls is mainly here to deter Delver-based decks, stuff like that, where they're going to be using counter spells of some sort, and they are going to try to just kind of make an inconvenience of the cards that we can actually play. So we're running Cavern of Souls as kind of a buffer. We really don't need it that much as a mana fix, but whenever it comes to Knight of Infamy, it can provide black mana for that said human. But we're running 3 of these, and like I said, the main thing that we're naming whenever it enters the battlefield is human, but we can also name Angel as well. So we have 3 Cavern of Souls. We have 1 Vault of the Archangel, so it taps for 1 generic mana. And then for 4 mana, 2 generic, 1 white, 1 black tap. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn. So this is one of those late game-esque cards where when we have all of our tokens and all of our Exalted interactions and everything like that, we have Vault of the Archangel out there, and we can have that 1 creature or multiple creatures, even if we want to avoid Exalted and just swing in with a ton of stuff, which this deck kind of goes back and forth. Like, if you want to swing in with that 1 powerhouse creature because you have multiple instances of Exalted, you can have that with that. Or you can swing in with a huge amount of creatures, and they can all have Death Touch and Lifelink. The Death Touch is definitely really relevant in the deck, so we're only running 1 of these. We don't really want to pollute the mana base and have a lot of generic mana producers, because already with Cavern of Souls, that's 3 cards that are going to be producing generic mana for non-creature spells. So Vault of the Archangel is going to be the 4th. So yeah, that. We have Evolving Wilds, so we're running 3 of these. And these are to fetch us some basic lands. We can either go for plains or we can go for swamps. The big thing about this card is it's going to thin out your deck from having surplus lands. So essentially, whenever you get it out, it's like you're removing 2 lands from your deck because, well, Evolving Wilds is already out there, but then you're going to get out another land after that. So it's giving you more of a chance to actually draw into cards that you really need. Stuff like the Archangel and other various creatures, but we're running 3 Evolving Wilds. It does provide a little bit of mana fixing as well, if we need black, that is. So 3 of those. And now we're getting into our basics. So we have 8 planes. So we'll break them off into 4s. So 8 of those. And then 4 swamps. So we're running 23 lands for this mana base. So not really too greedy, not really... it's pretty average. It's pretty average for a deck like this one. So 23 lands. Now we're going to take a look at everything else. So here we have our first card here, and it is Champion of the Parish. So 1/1 for 1 white. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Parish. Now, we do have the human interaction here with Silverblade Paladin, Champion of the Parish, Knight of Infamy, Knight of Glory, Gather the Townsfolk. We have all of that to work around Champion of the Parish. And then on top of that, whenever you add on Exalted, Champion of the Parish is a extremely huge creature that your opponent has to deal with removal. The fact that he gets bigger with every human that enters the battlefield is why he is the ideal 1-drop in this deck, as opposed to any other 1-drop that we could have in this deck. He is definitely really good in this type of a build, and I've tried to check out some other Exalted decks that people have put together, and I don't think anybody's really hit on the human type base decks for Exalted, but definitely Champion of the Parish should be included in a deck like this one, especially if you're running 8 of the Knights, 4 of each. But Champion of the Parish, definitely really good. 1-drop, and he just starts wrecking face really quick. Alright, so we'll put him down here. Next we have our Knight of Glory. So 2/1 for 2 mana, protection from black, and it has Exalted. So absolutely extremely awesome card. He himself gets big. The ideal way you want to have it is you want to drop like Champion of the Parish, then hit Knight of Glory, then possibly Silverblade Paladin. It's wishful thinking, but if you can get that off in some kind of a sequence like that, Champion of the Parish is huge, and he has double strike. But Knight of Glory is just awesome. So we have a play set of him. Then we have Knight of Infamy, so we are running all 8 of the Knights in here. So 2/1 for 2 mana, 1 generic, 1 black, protection from white and Exalted. So running a play set. Just an awesome card. And the other thing that you guys need to keep in mind is Exalted and Soul Bond don't target creatures, so the protection doesn't restrain us from using stuff like Exalted or Soul Bond on creatures. Like if we had Silverblade Paladin Soul Bonding with Knight of Infamy, Soul Bond does not say target, and neither does Exalted, so the Exalted works with either or if you have like Knight of Infamy and Knight of Glory out there. So keep that in mind, because I know a lot of people have argued about that, both online and in person. Then we have, speaking of it, Silverblade Paladin. So 2/2 for 3 mana, 1 generic, double white. Soul Bond, as long as Silverblade Paladin is paired with another creature, both creatures have double strikes. So he makes our one ideal target creature really, really huge. So basically dealing double the damage from wherever or however much larger we can make it. So Silverblade is just one of those cards where you want to make something much more deadly than it actually is. So play set of Silverblades. Then we have our Sublime Archangel. So 4/3 for 4, 2 generic, 2 white, flying and Exalted. Other creatures you control have Exalted. So just really huge card, and we're running 4 of them. I actually loaned out 2 of the ones that I have to a buddy of mine because I actually wasn't playing with my Sublimes, so he actually has 2 of them, but I do run a play set of these whenever I do play this deck, at least in person. But just the ideal 4-drop. It's probably like one of the best cards in this deck. Well, actually, it is the best card in this deck, but with the amount of tokens that we create and everything that's going on, you can really easily get a huge amount of instances of Exalted. So Sublime is just crazy. So playset. And now we have all the rest of our spells. So we have Gather the Townsfolk, which is going to work with Champion of the Parish and buff them up a little bit bigger. Also provides some cheap swingers or chump blockers if we need them. And also it's going to help out with the Sublime Archangel if we want to get some more instances of Exalted. So we are running a playset of Gather the Townsfolk. I'm going to put those over here, start a new stack of non-creature spells. We have Lingering Souls. We're only running 2 of these in the deck. Again, this is just making some more tokens. These are flying, and the great thing about this card is it has flashback. Unfortunately, it's not going to work with Champion of the Parish, but it's still a really good card to have in here just because you can create more swingers or blockers, and after a while, the damage that you inflict with Lingering Souls does add up. But the flashback on it is nice because we can take advantage of the black mana that we produce with this deck, and the flashback is cheaper than the actual casting cost. So 2 Lingering Souls. We have 1 Entreat the Angels. With Entreat the Angels, we're running this as a, not really an alternate win condition, but essentially it is. Whenever you hit into this somewhat late game, you will just have a huge amount of 4/4s that your opponent more times than none will not be able to deal with unless they have Terminus or Day of Judgment or something. Entreat the Angels is a perfect card to have in a deck like this one, especially if you can take advantage of Vault of the Archangel or something like that. But we're just running this as a one of. We don't really need to have a lot of them. One of them just gets the job done. But you guys can switch that around. If you like this card, if you have more of them, if you want to run more of them, you can. I do own more of these, I just don't choose to run them. But 1 Entreat the Angels has been working perfectly so far, so we're going to have that in the deck. Then we have our Planeswalkers, so Ajani, Caller of the Pride, we're running 3 of these. So this is going to let us put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with his +1. -3 gives target creature flying and double strike, so that's going to be aside from the Silverblade Paladin. So it's almost like we're running 7 copies of Silverblade because he's going to give a creature double strike, but the flying is a little bit more relevant as well. And the -8, you get to put out X amount of 2/2s equal to your life total, but that really doesn't happen all that much. Mainly we're just using him for his +1 and -3. But if you guys get up to that point, it's perfectly possible to just flood your opponent with tokens. So 3 Ajani, Caller of the Pride. And keep in mind, I never said that this deck was cheap. We have 1 Elspeth Tirel, and this is the only card that's rotating for the Scars and M12 rotation. So 4 loyalty, 5 cost, you gain 1 life for each creature you control for +2. -2 is you put out 3 1/1 White Soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. And -5 is destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. So you do have a Wrath here that you can use, but mainly we're using her to gain back some life, keep us stabilized, and also create tokens. So only 1 up for her. We're running 2 Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. So he's a 3 loyalty, 4 cost, 2 generic, 1 white, 1 black. +1 gives us a 1/1 black vampire creature token with lifelink onto the battlefield. -2 gives us an emblem where creatures we control get +1/+0, so that's going to be really relevant. And -6 is we can destroy up to 3 target creatures and or planeswalkers, then we bring them back and we gain control of them. And our last card that we have here is Oblivion Ring. So we're running a playset Oblivion Ring for some removal. It's just the end-all, remove-all type of removal in this deck because we can pretty much just get rid of anything that's a nuisance. So playset of Oblivion Ring to help us out. So that about does it for this deck tech. Like I said, it's not really that cheap, but for you serious players that have a lot of money like I do to play serious standard tier 1, this is definitely something to check out. It's something that's really fun to play. I will try to cover a budget deck for Black-White Exalted or White-Black Exalted, whatever you guys want to call it. But yeah, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and favorite it if you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and bring you a diverse selection of other videos soon to come. But yeah, as I always say, remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more daily Magic the Gathering content. And as always, thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day. If you guys are interested in seeing more deck techs, please be sure to click on this page anywhere, and it will take you to the deck techs playlist on the channel where I have all of the previous decks that I've covered archived. So if you guys are interested, please be sure to check that out and subscribe to the channel.